So the first thing I want to do is talk about knife defense a little bit and kind of what it's about, my thoughts on it, that kind of thing. I think the first and most important thing to understand is that when it comes to a weapon, like a knife or a gun, or even like a big stick, right? Your best bet is just to run. Get out of there. Don't fight someone with a knife. Like, the whole concept of knife fighting in general is stupid to begin with. Like, you see it in movies and stuff, and it's glamorized, but like, when you train with I had training in Jiu-Jitsu, which is swordplay. There were 3 outcomes, okay? One of them is your opponent dies. That's the best outcome. The other 2 include you dying, okay? It is you both die or you die. So 2/3 of the time, the outcome was really bad for you. And it's the same with like weapon defense, I think. Like if he attacks me with a knife, there's a very high chance that I get stabbed, a chance that he gets stabbed, and probably the most likely thing is that we both get cut up, right? Like, it's not going to end well. I think that we train these for a couple reasons. One of them is so you have some options when things happen. And we're going to discuss today not only the techniques, but I want to discuss exactly how I recommend you train knife fighting as well, or knife defense as well. There's the tradition of it as well. So Jiu-Jitsu comes from Japan, and there's some tradition of training this type of thing, because back in the day, people wore actual tantos were pretty big knives, and that's just, they had them, and small swords. Like, that was an actual concern on a regular basis. But in that day, you would see people reach for it and start to draw it, and so there were a little differences then in those types of defenses, and some of those have been translated over to the knife defenses we use, but some of them are just kind of like what worked for somebody. And understand that that's how a lot of martial arts were developed. I was talking to a Navy SEAL one time, and we were doing gun defense that day, and his gun defense was literally, he goes, you know what I do? He goes, this worked for me one time. That was his exact words. Is I opened a door, and as I turned, a guy had a gun in my face, and I just grabbed and then hit him. Like, that's his gun defense. He goes, that's what I did. It works. So that's what I tell people to do. And that's where a lot of this developed. And then you kind of polish the technique of it. But let's be 100% honest with ourselves. In this kind of situation, it's one thing for someone to be coming up and punching at you and kicking you. It's a completely other thing that they point a gun in your face or a knife at your neck and say, "Give me everything." Like, your heart is going to be pounding, the adrenaline is going to be crazy, your mind isn't going to be thinking right, and your ability to do things that require a lot of dexterity is going to be severely limited. So we're going to do some drills that help with that, but you can't 100% cope with it. There's no way you can truly train knife training. And I've done it for the better part of 30 years anyway, because I've been training knife defenses and stuff since I was probably 10 years old. Knife defenses and gun defenses, I've trained a lot of it. And so I've used shock knives that give you a little shock when they hit you, and they suck. Chalk knives, which are just like this, except for they've got felt around the edge, and then you chalk it up, so when you get hit, it shows. Use regular plastic knives, but the problem is you can't use a real knife, or you're going to get cut, or someone's going to get hurt. You can't use a real gun, or someone's going to get hurt. I've used everything from Nerf guns to paintballs, all that kind of stuff, but someone's going to get hurt if you start using a real gun, obviously. And so you're always limited. And if you go back to the history of Jiu-Jitsu, even back before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Judo, the reason Judo uses the moves it does is because you were able to do them at 100% without harming another person. They always had the tap to, that's how they told you to stop. So that was the whole purpose, was any move that you couldn't do that to. Poking in the eyes, fish hooking, kicking in the groin. You can't tap to that. It either hurt, you either maim them or you don't. And so those things were taken out of the art. And that's why, is because you could never train them 100%. And so it kind of goes back a step in theory when you start training knives and guns and stuff, because you can never ever train it at 100%. You just can't. So the best we can do is give you options, understand that there's a history behind it and tradition behind it, and then take it for what you want. And my recommendation, don't ever fight anybody. If they show you a weapon and you don't have the ability to escape, give them what they want, and then if they still are coming after you or whatever, it's violence of action. That's going to save your life more times than not. So keep that all in mind as we train a little bit today, and I'll give you some tips and stuff as we go through. But let's go ahead and get started. It's probably right about that time. Let me see who we got on before I do that. We got Andy, what is up? Justin Sumption with his social hour, I like it. Kat, Rebecca, how are you, Rebecca? It's good to see you. Greg, how are you, man? Mason, good to see you. Austin, good to see you. Casey, what's up, brother? Frank the Tank, Katie, John. All right, it's good to see all of you guys. What's up, Sean? So let's go ahead and get warmed up. We are going to do a little bit of manipulating wrists and elbows and stuff today. So let's go ahead and start with our neck, get some rotations in. Reverse direction. Good. Shoulders go forward. Good. Reverse direction. And I try to get like that whole range of motion as I do it, like as big a range of motion as you can. That's why you always see me like cross in the middle, and I'm actually trying to stretch the chest as I come through there. Good. Hands to the hips, little circles. I see a red dot. Is that like a heart? I can't tell. I think it says stab him in the heart. Reverse. I don't know that it says that. I just see red and some words.
Guarantee it says that.
Good. Big circles. Or if you're Nate, you could do the wacky waving arm inflatable salesman.
Is that what those are called?
I think so. Something like that.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man?
Yeah, something
There
like
it
that.
is.
All right. Feet together, in and out with the knees. Casey, you recognize this? This was like the beginning of every single warm-up in the Army. Good, knees will stay flexed, just little circles with them. Reverse. Good. Since we're going to be doing a lot standing, let's work some other stuff here. Let's work some range of motion with our hips. Just start working on bringing the knees up. So you're just going to bring a knee up real high on one side and then the other. So it's not so much a kick as much as just like trying to knee yourself in the shoulder or the chest. Good. From there, I'm going to do it this direction. And, work with the space you have, but you're going to hug your knee, step. You're going to be in this long kind of warrior pose, and your hands are going to come out, stretch one way, and then the other. And then just do the same thing the other way. And I'll just keep going back and forth as Logan goes up and down. This will help you with balance, hip mobility, all that fun stuff. Good job, Logan. All right, so next one, we're gonna do little crescent shapes with our legs. So you're gonna start with your foot slightly off the ground. Can we see that? I don't know. You're gonna make little circles there. If you're on a harder surface, it's actually a little easier, because this like gives below you. Good, reverse, or switch, I mean. Good. Bigger circles. You can set it down every time. Other leg. Cool. Let's talk first thing. So like I was saying earlier, there's a video out there, just went around, and this is part of what made me want to do this. It's Keenan Cornelius and some other person, I don't know who, and they're doing knife defense, or attempting to. For one, I don't know anything about Keenan's background on knife defense, okay? But it looked like he'd never trained it before, and then tried to like learn it once and then do it. My argument would be, you can't learn it once and then do it. Like, it's not gonna work. The second argument is, the way they were doing it, let's switch, is the knife attacker was this. And you know, you're trying to defend, right? Like, that's not, that'd be great, and if you can get a hold of the arm in that situation, amazing. But if that's the situation, if someone's coming up to you like that's a knife fight, and get out of there. Why are you even confronting this person? Like, it's not gonna work in that situation. That is going to a knife fight without a knife. Or better yet, a gun. Like, you wanna win a knife fight? Bring a gun. All right? You wanna bring a gunfight? Bring a jet. I have a friend who's an operator, and he was talking about preparing for operations. And when I say operator, what I mean is he works for the military, but is not part of the military, and he works for groups that go do horrible things to horrible people. And he says that he doesn't like to go to a gunfight. He wants to go to a massacre. And that's a very terrible way to look at it, but that is the truth of the matter. You don't want to go in and have like this shootout. You want to go in, murder all the bad guys, and leave. Or get whatever it is, intel you're trying to get or whatever, and leave. So, this isn't a good situation. Someone pulls out a knife and they're like, hey man, I'm going to stick you. You're like, yep, you win, run. The only time you shouldn't run in that situation is if you can't. You've got someone with you. You're protecting more than just you, right? Family's with you, something like that. Then you got to do what you got to do. But I'm going to guarantee you're going to get cut, at the very least. Probably stabbed, probably multiple times. All right, and I think the more you accept that, the less you're like, the more you're just like, and have some violence of action about it, the more likely you are to survive, if you survive. Remember the 3 possible outcomes. You die, they die, you both die. So, all right, let's look at techniques before we move in. Now, the other part of this I want to explain is that we're going to do the technique from this kind of underhand stabbing motion, right? This is a completely unrealistic scenario. It's not designed to be realistic. It's designed to learn sensitivity of motion. So he comes in, and there's a couple different ways to block that I've learned over the years. The one in the Gracie manual, you're going to have your hand stopping him up high at the bicep and down low. Okay, the reason the bicep is that halts forward progress of the shoulder, but then he can still do this, right? So you're also here. So it's like, boom. I've seen this in Kali, and it's more just like your whole arm, like you're doing it like this, because you're more likely to make that connection, but you're moving your hips and stuff away. And in Kung Fu, when I learned it, we used what we call a chun block, and we would do this, and that's like, it's like aiming down a sight, right? And we would literally just stand like this, boom, and just smack him and then slide down, okay? When you test for your belt, you're gonna need to show this one, okay? What I care about is that you survive, and the biggest and most important thing is to gain control of the arm that's holding the weapon. That's what all 3 of them are about. So whether it was this, or this, or this, I don't particularly care. Try them all. And then you can also just do a little drills. Let's back up this way a little bit, and I'll have you back up. And you just come in and try to stab the stomach, and then your back. And 2 things are happening here. He's stabbing on a line straight to my belly button. I'm not just blocking here, I'm also moving. So that ideally the line that I'm on, if I missed, he goes past me. All right? That's the goal of it. With that said, if it doesn't happen, I can then get a hold of the knife and everything. The other thing that's important about this is in a real situation, when someone's stabbing you, it's probably going to happen more like you're not going to see the weapon, You know, they may not even be doing this. They're just walking by, and then boom, yes, that's how it's going to happen. Let's do it from this angle so they see. More of a shanking situation, right? You're minding your own business, and then holy crap, and then you get a hold of it, right? You've probably been stabbed 4 or 5 times before you even realized you were being stabbed. All right, so that's kind of how this happens. So make sure to practice these things, boom, or this one. I don't care which one you do. Just practice one, practice it a lot. And then practice it where, you know, they come in and they're pulling away too. So what if you don't get it? You know what I mean? And you sit there and you keep blocking. I'm sorry, we keep going kind of, like, you should do that again. You know, and you're like, you're okay, just making sure you don't get stabbed, you know, until you do get a hold of it. And we're still doing it a little unrealistically. He's not grabbing me, he's not changing angles, it's just a drill, just a, holy crap, I'm getting stabbed. You know, get your hands in front of me. All right, let's get into technique. So he comes in, we block, we slide. I'm controlling at the wrist. And let's get real close. The reason we're controlling here at the wrist is because if I control anywhere else, look what he does with the knife. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Thanks, Donnie, I'm glad. But if I can control, let's back up just a little bit. Control at the wrist, it's a lot harder for him to start doing that. Go ahead, do that again. See what I mean? Like I can feel it. And I'm squeezing with everything I've got. All right? I'm not just like here, like, oh, I got you now. Yeah, you're owning that. Now, in this situation, he can go one of 2 directions. Into me, that way, or pull it away, that way. So those are one of the 2 things he's going to try to do. We're going to defend both of them. Let's turn this way. Way number 1. I feel him coming into me. Remember I said about getting off the line? Actually, you know, I put you over there, and I don't think that's helpful. I'm going to turn off that line so that as he comes through, it doesn't stab me. It kind of goes a little bit past me. Now my goal is to get my shoulder under his elbow. Boom, here. And then the goal here is to snap that sucker like a twig. Break. And look, when I go to strip this, let's turn it this way. I'm coming down on top of the knife to twist it out of his hand. I did a Facebook video a while back, and it talked about grabbing the blade of a knife. It's not ideal, let's be honest. We don't want to grab a knife to begin with. Like, you don't want to grab anything. But just grabbing a knife, in most circumstances, will not cut you. It's when the knife starts to move that it's a problem. And with the isolation that we've created, our odds of getting cut in this situation are a little bit less. Plus, if you watch how I'm doing it, I'm open hand, boom. So that hopefully the knife is in that configuration. You know, if it's sticking up like this, then yeah, maybe it gets you a little bit. But better to get cut on your hand a little bit than it stuck like that far inside your belly. All right. So he comes in, 1, grab, he's pushing through, step outside. So notice like we're both looking the same way, like we're taking a selfie. Break. So when I do this, I kind of give a little shrug to elevate the shoulder and his elbow a little bit. Release the knife, get the hell out of there. Don't try to fight him, don't do anything else, run. He had 1 weapon, he might have a second. All right, maybe he pulls out a gun this time. Get out. Take your kid, take your purse, whatever it is that you had to defend, get out, okay? Second situation, I think that's where this will do better. I'm here, and he pulls away. 2 options and 2 lines of thought. 1 is let him go and run. You can keep it, you don't need it. But if, again, going to the idea that you can't leave for a reason. Boom, he pulls, I step in. Let's turn 90 degrees. You guys see how I have this weapon? My elbows are tight. Logan stabbed me. He can't pull that in through there. Okay, now as he tries to, I come out and I preferably put it into him and then try to cut him with it. But listen, don't get fancy. If it doesn't cut him or whatever, that's fine. Just run. All right, have I said that enough?
No.
Have I hammered home that the idea is not to fight this person?
Say more.
Okay? We're not trying to beat up somebody who has a weapon. It's just a really bad situation all around. The other thing that I haven't mentioned too much yet, assume you're going to get cut pretty bad through all this. All right? Even though I have a death grip there, he's got adrenaline going too. He might cut me. You might walk away and be bleeding like a sieve. This is not a good situation. So let's look at it one more time. Number one, come off the line, slide down, step in, break the arm. Notice that I'm outside of him. If I'm here, he wraps me up and he hugs me. That's a worse situation, okay? So I'm outside the arm. Try to, from here you break, trying to pry this away, and then, just come out. Maybe you cut him, maybe you don't. You're not worried about it. It's not about hurting him, it's about stopping him from hurting you. Option two, come in, get it behind him. Let's turn. Walk toward the camera, please. So here, you can do the same thing here where I put the palm of my hand flat and pry this downward, and then I'll start to release it. All right, let's do it on the other side. Just turn that right there, perfect. So from here, so I can pry that against the thumb. It's very hard to hold on to in that situation. Hold tight. It's really hard. Again though, I'm grabbing the knife. It's not ideal, but it's what you got to do. So now, let's talk about drilling this. The first drill you should always do is just the drill of complete compliance. Comes in, 1, 2, 3, right? 100% compliant both ways. And this is a very Aikido-y drill, right? Meaning it's very fake. It's that way by design. Because the interception and grabbing of the knife may not ever happen like this. This is one way it could happen. But since this is an inherently kind of non-existent thing, meaning that I've watched a lot of knife attack videos, and very rare do they come like this or like this. It's more just like they're knocking on the door, but they've got a knife in their hand, or they're like shivving you until, right? They're shanking you like crazy. So, first way you drill is like that. Very static, very basic. And the main reason is you want to develop the understanding of feeling here, so that when he steps in, you feel that and you move, or when he pulls back, you can go with it. Okay, that's what you need. That sensitivity. That's really what that is about. All right? Then the next drill you want to do. And guys, if I'm going to, let me see if there's any questions before I move on. Oh, yep, exactly like Aikido. Logan has been practicing the shank. Haven't been off camera once. Somebody's watched Breaking Bad. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know it's a show, but I've only watched a little bit of it.
People get stabbed.
Okay. Ryan, what's up? The bearded samurai. Wax the floor, big circles. Some of these warm-ups I do in physics. That's awesome, Kobe. Heather's watching. Hi, Heather. Andrew gave Justin some love.
It was just hearts. I thought it was just stabbing him in the heart.
How many people would be surprised if Justin ended up being a guest on the show? None of you. That's the answer. Everybody would be like, yeah, of course he's there. I'll have to watch that, Donnie. All right. So now the second thing I recommend you practice. And you can start it, again, at different intervals and different levels of intensity. But start with your eyes closed. All right? You're never, ever, ever going to be able to catch the weapon. Stab me. Yep, he got me. Okay? My eyes are closed. It's never going to happen. But again, like I said earlier, that's the more realistic thing, is you don't know when it's coming. And this is a way to practice like you don't know when it's coming. The minute it touches you, that's when you open your eyes. And then try to go through your move at that point. Boom. Bang. Right? So you're building up an intensity just a little bit. The next one, start where he's got a hand on you, like holding you, your eyes are closed, and he's going to see how many he can get you with before you control the arm. Your eyes start closed. There it is. Notice the other thing I did there that's helpful is I brought my hips away, put my head onto his shoulder. That makes it easier for me to find his arm. okay, because I'm connected to him. It's kind of like when we do our headlock defense, and he's punching me in the face. I don't try to reach for the hand. I reach and grab the arm because the hand bone is connected to the arm bone. All right, now I can get a hold of it. Same thing here. If I'm just trying to fight, you know, one, I get stabbed a few times probably, and then I'm trying to come down in here. Man, that's a tough nut to crack. All right, I had to switch up my type of block entirely, like going to an X block. Am I going to have the wherewithal to do that after I've been actually stabbed 4 times? Probably not. I mean, maybe not. But what I can definitely do is connect to him and look, I just get a hold of his arm. That slows his momentum. Now I'm down on the wrist. Now I can go through the moves. Okay? Real important stuff here. So, level 1, practice just like him doing this, and you just practice kind of your interception and, you know, this kind of stuff. Good. Nice. You don't need to do a lot of that, but enough that you can target the arm. Level 2, 100% compliant. He comes through, and he either pulls or pushes. He pushed, so I break. Again, he either pulls or pushes. He pulled, so I go through. Level 3, my eyes are closed. He's still going to start away. The minute he touches me, I open and I go to my defense. And then again, he pulls or pushes. He pulled. Level 4, you're closed. He's touching you. He's trying to actually see how many times he can get you. And then at this point, he can keep trying to pull it away, right? Make sense? So start slow. Make sure you understand the mechanics. Let's look at some of these mechanics on this arm break. So let's bring it over here. If his thumb is facing up and I pull, chances are good he's going to bend his arm. And it's going to come down. Good news, we can still manipulate him here, but again, how much of that are you going to remember if you haven't done it for 30 years? And I don't even know that I will, right? Like, I'm not guaranteeing I do. That one comes from here, ice pick grip. He has an ice pick grip, and he throws this backhanded one. Yeah, that one. We come one, turn this way. So I'm just like, whoa! And then I pin his elbow to my shoulder, and I apply a lock here. That's where that comes in and how it connects to the others. We'll do this one a different day, though. But the big thing I want you to get out of this, and switch, so you can do some reps, is level 1. He's just blocking. Good. You know, work that with your family member. Level 2. On level 2, he's going to go through the whole move, completely compliant. I step in, he breaks over the shoulder, takes the knife. Again. I pull away, he comes under. And then challenge each other here. Let's actually go to that because you did a real good job with it, but I want to make sure that they see it. I pull away, pause here. Challenge right here, be like, can you stab me? Okay, like see if you can put that knife into him without releasing it. Because if I start switching hands, he should be taking that knife, right? So if any of that happens, boom, and right here he just cut out, and then there's a high likelihood I cut myself. So that's level 2. Level 3, his eyes are closed. We're starting away. It's still relatively compliant, but he's not going to go until he feels the knife. There we go. And of course he opens his eyes at that point. There we go. One of the things I notice sometimes when we do this, you probably did it too.
Yeah, I did. I kept it closed.
Is you'll have your eyes closed and you'll feel it. You'll start trying to defend it. Open your eyes. Okay? Open them. It's okay. It's just a drill. Because you want to have your eyes open when you defend. And then level 4, his eyes are closed. I'm starting here. My goal at this point is to touch him in the stomach as many times as I can with this knife to see when he starts to defend. There you go. Now, if you haven't done these a lot, be careful at the end of each of these moves. the shoulder's going to be compromised. A good kind of mental idea of when you've got the move good or in a good spot is when I come behind and he lifts up on his, like he starts leaning forward or lifting up on his toes, I know I've got him where I want him. All right, so don't jack up your buddy, your training partner, and hurt them. Same thing with the break. I feel him going up under his toes, I know I've got him. Don't keep pulling down. One thing I will say with this second move, this one here, number one, if they're significantly taller than you, you're going to find that this doesn't work. All right? Because what's going to happen is they're just going to kind of come over top of you. But look, as he steps in, now he's giving you the movement to the second one. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then always place them together. Like if you get really good at these and you can do them fluidly, next thing we do is here, and he tries just jumping up to relieve the pressure. And then work on going through. So these are in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu manual. I've learned them here. I've learned them in Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. I've learned them in Kung Fu. I learned them in Karate, and I learned them in Sogo Bujitsu. That tells me something. What that tells me is they happen regularly, and there's a common defense. Many people over time have realized that this is something that kind of works. I say kind of. It's worked for somebody sometime. It worked for that one samurai who was like, yeah, bro was trying to stab me in the gut, so I just like snapped his arm, right? Like he's saying that over some sake at the local pub, right? Like that's how that went down. It's not like they were like, okay guys, here's what we're gonna do. He goes to stab you. Like it probably started in a very oh shit kind of moment. Like, oh crap, it's me or him. Plus they had armor. Nobody's gonna stab you there. That armor, it's not getting through there. But the point is, these things are just like relating it back to my friend who was a SEAL. It's their version of someone points a gun at his face and he's like, boom, and just smacked him. Like that's what he did and it worked. That's how these all developed. Again, you get into a kind of situation, some guy's flashing a weapon and wants to know what you can do. Like, I can't beat that, and run. You can't beat it. Just assume that's true. I don't care if it is true or not. You're not Steven Seagal in Under Siege. You're not going to take the knife away from him and stab him in the top of the head with it like you did with Tommy Lee Jones. That was a really weird scene.
That was very specific.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was specific of you. I liked it.
Oh, guys, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie. But, I mean, not a great film. It's not like it's going down. It's not going to win an Oscar, but it's awesome to watch. Any questions on that, Logan? Okay. You guys have any questions? Let's see how we're doing with this. Is anybody there trying it at home right now? Arm break, LOL, not even arm bar. Just break it. Exactly.
No, you get it.
Janine, how you doing? Good to see you. Cat's like, yep, looks exactly like Aikido. All right, sweet. You can't beat it, run. And so all BJJ people started running during quarantine. Hush your mouth.
Oh, the quiz.
All right, so I asked Logan to show one of his favorite omoplata setups, so you guys have a little bonus stuff. So Logan's going to do a cool omoplata setup. Cindy, the beauty of knowing jiu-jitsu is that they don't get to choose whether they're doing jiu-jitsu. That's why you've got to be better than them. Am I wrong? You get to choose when you do jiu-jitsu. Let's back up this way a little bit. Is my head off? It's off. I'm going to fix that a little bit. That'll be better. All right. Logan's going to show one of his favorite moves is the omoplata. So he's going to show one of his favorite setups for this.
I'm also a filthy guard player. So it's going to be from guard. This is also no-gi, as you can see. So a lot of the problem is getting a hold of these arms and keeping them sturdy. So I have like a specific way. If you did Gracie combatives, you know exactly what I'm doing. In guard, always, I have a sequence I like to do. I'll start by always trying to sweep them. I'll start with the basics, scissor sweep. That will not work. He will block it. I'm bringing this leg in here on this other side. So as I do it and I feel him block, this foot's going to his hip. I'm coming in, and then I grab. As soon as I can on the other side. Can we turn it?
Yep.
I'm grabbing right above the elbow. I'm pretending there's a bar, and I'm pushing like this to keep that in place. Should be uncomfortable. Now it's kind of my choice on which side I want to omoplata. That side, I'm going to switch my grip up and hug it like this. I'm just putting the crease of my arm where his elbow is. I'm just hugging that. I'm still pulling down and pushing with my legs. As soon as I do that, I'm going to shrimp out a little bit, extend my leg. As soon as this happens, I'm still holding here. I slide down to his wrist. I go from his elbow to his wrist. I just slide down, I keep pressure. As soon as this leg gets out, shoulder sandwich. I'm just pinching his shoulder between my legs. Now once I'm here, I can let go here, push his head away. If that's still giving you problems, like you feel like you can't turn, he has a lot of downward pressure, bring that top leg up, kick him in the face. Don't actually kick him, you're just pushing his head away, and then you can slide out. The millisecond you get here, knees go to chest, and you come up. A lot of times they won't come down like this, but if they do, it's fine. Once you're here, there's a million things you can do. I just want to show you that setup. A lot of people have trouble getting omoplatas and no-gi, but it's still an awesome move in my opinion.
Let's do it from another angle.
Yeah.
We can do all the angles.
All of them.
We have a captive audience. They have no choice.
Right, you just have to watch. So we're here. I might grab, however it happens. You might even do it from like a sit-over sweep. Why not? Boom. It doesn't work. I'm still grabbing. Boom. I come down. I'm going to switch my grip a little bit. I don't know if you saw how I did that. I came up. It didn't work. Came back down. I'm grabbing with the opposite hand as I come down. Boom, boom. Bring this one in. Still the same grip. I'm going to choose the side. I happen to like the right side more. I'm kicking. And as I kick, grab. Boop. See how I extended my body away from him? I'm now all crunched up trying to get my foot around it. Not that flexible. Don't have to be. Extend your body away. Kick him in the face. Knees to chest. Come up. You got it. Do the scissor again. Because it's the only sweep you need. It's not working. Bam, bam. This arm. Watch this arm because this one's really important. After I get this grip and I start to turn, I'm sliding down. And that helps me extend my body, and this arm's really tight. It's stuck. I have both of his arms stuck. I'm pinching my knees the whole time and keeping him away. If I can't reach his face necessarily from where I'm at, so I'm just going to bring my leg over. This is really easy. I'm just going to move his face out of the way. Use the chest. Come up. Grab his hip immediately so he doesn't roll.
Nice. Good stuff, man. Any questions on that omoplata? It's your bonus move of the night.
Bonus plata.
The bonoplata. That does not sound
Mildly inappropriate. It's okay.
Katie, funny thing is I'm not kidding.
Oh, we missed the joke.
It's actually pretty sick though, LOL.
Damn right. Wow. They do work, Robbie. I hit you with them all the time.
Robbie says you can't hit him.
Ezekiel's too.
Yeah, Robbie, I heard you got Ezekiel the other day. Good job, bro. I like the chalk ones to start. Good job.
Shock knives. I like that idea.
I'll look into it, Katie.
It's terrifying, but at the same time exciting. As Johnny Bravo would say, I'm sickened but curious.
All right, my friends. So as always, thanks for watching. We're just going back over. I can't say enough how important it is to understand that when it comes to weapons defense, the goal is not to even have to do anything. The goal is to run away. Someone starts brandishing a weapon and stuff, just leave. Don't sit there and fight them. That's why I think that anytime I see that as a self-defense training method, I think it's silly. Like, just, you're gonna die. You brought your empty hands to a knife fight. You're gonna get killed. Like, that's just how that's gonna go. Again, and they don't have to know anything. Now imagine it's someone who does know how to use a knife. I just assume if someone has one, they know how to use it. And then I don't have to worry about it. Then sweet omoplata defense from phase 2 of the punch block series, or omoplata attack from phase 2 of the punch block series. So that was awesome. All right, guys. thanks for watching. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. We have ukes for this week, but if you want to get on the schedule for next week and be an uke for the class, I'd be happy to have you in. My goal is to spread out the love. I think this week we've got Jess coming in, we've got Amy coming in, we've got Jeremiah coming in. So, and I believe it's in that order. If you want to get in for next week, I'd love to have you. So just hit me up with a personal message. Don't worry, nobody's too small, nobody's too big. I'll compensate. I just want to give you guys a chance to be on the mat for a minute, even if it's in a very limited type environment. Of course, only if you're comfortable with it. I don't want anybody to feel pressured to go outside. If you're vehemently against it, that's fine. I get it. Anything to add, Logan? Thanks for being here, Dan. All right. Take it easy, guys. Thanks.